So, in case you're wondering, the breakfast has been blessed. So I think we're good there. And we will also have a prayer just over the whole program. It's so good to see everybody here. My name is Vicki Quates-Ferris. I'm with the Empowerment Network. And in a few minutes, I just want to introduce our community partners because they have come out in the rain. And we really appreciate you all being here. So let's recognize our community partners right now. Come on, we can do a little together. So with that, we can just be still with our Pastor Connie, who is with U-Turn and Unconditional Love Church. And so, just like that.
Father God, we bless you. We thank you for giving us your grace. God, we thank you for what you're doing for us in our city, in our community. We thank you that you allow us to assemble ourselves here today. God, we pray that you will give us ears to hear and a heart to receive. Bless all the presenters and speakers today. And God, let us not just take in what we hear, but let us put it into action. Help us to put it into action. We thank you. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, somebody say action. Okay, say it like you woke up at 10 o'clock this morning. Say action. All right, that's a little better. Okay, for those of you, this is your first time, we do want to recognize you. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're eating bacon, sausage, whatnot, let it go for just a moment because we want to recognize you. So we want you to stand up and say who this is. If this is your first time here at a village meeting, come on, stand up, let us see you. Come on, there you go. Let's give them a hand. And for those of you who haven't come to the village meeting, we really appreciate your support, continued support, especially on a bright sunny day like today. So with that, I want to quickly just let you know who is here in terms of our community partner and go from there. We have Step Up Omaha. The deadline to apply for summer employment is coming up. It's tomorrow, Sunday, March 10th. And so I think it's midnight is the deadline. So if you want to sign up, haven't signed up, know somebody who needs to, it's stepupomaha.com. You can also go back at the table and they can help you and provide you with more information there. We have, I believe, probably close to 2,000, maybe 1,700 applications already. So as you can imagine, the need is great. We also have Urban League who is here, Urban League of Nebraska. They have their Whitney Academy program. They have the African American Leadership Conference that's coming, or not leadership, but the African American Leadership Awards that's coming up. And they again do a number of things in terms of employment, work awards. So again, stop by their table, see what they are all about. And again, they work with our young people, job fairs, and so on. So thank you for your service. Bannister Leadership Academy, again, if you know of any young men, they work with men, young men. And so they have been doing a phenomenal job in terms of rearing and steering and mentoring our young men in our community. And so we have a table here that has all of their information as well. And so we encourage you to stop by. They're here pretty much every month. And they're looking for mentors for our young men. Mentors for our young men. So stop by their table. We also have Metropolitan Community College that is here. We partner with them on the Step Up Omaha program. They have construction and trades and manufacturing. They have arts. They have food, culinary. Just a wealth of different programs and courses that they offer at their Fort Omaha campus, South Omaha campus, and other campuses throughout the city. So stop by their table. They've also got some financial aid assistance that they can assist you with as well. So make sure you stop by and talk to the young lady that is there. We also have Omaha Fire and Rescue. Omaha Fire and Rescue. Now the great thing is, Michelle, thank you, Michelle, and thank you for being here. The great thing about the Omaha Fire and Rescue, not only do they talk to you about fire safety, but if you've seen in the news in terms of carbon monoxide, they are willing to go and install free. Somebody say free. That's one of my favorite four-letter words is free. They will install a carbon monoxide free in your home. So if you don't need it, make sure you share that with someone else because you cannot beat it. It does save lives. That's I think it's the invisible killer, as they say. So make sure you stop by their table, find out how maybe they can come and then train and teach some of your young people, adults, themselves about fire safety. Then we have TRIO program through Metro Community College, is that correct? Metro Community College, and so they have a summer academy that's coming up, and so we definitely want you to stop by the tables, find out what that's all about, because you can't beat it. I'm sure it's something that's great, beneficial to not only our young men and women, but also to the community as well. Then we have family housing. We really appreciate the services that family housing is providing in our community. We partner with them on a number of different services and programs that they have. Just to name a few, they have the financial literacy. They also have free tax service. What's that four-letter word that I love? Free. Free tax service. So if you have not done your taxes yet, and you are looking for someone to do that, stop by Family Housing Table, talk to Joe. He can set you up with an appointment, and all you have to do is bring your documents down, and they can make sure that your taxes are done correctly, and hopefully you will be receiving some funds back. They also do credit recovery, so if you find yourself where you need that assistance as well, they have really taken a lot of people who have been in debt and helped them to really come out of debt and to be able to do some things within that additional income that they have found with that. So thank you, Family Housing, for being here. We also have U-Turn, Pastor Hunter. You've seen him. He was the one that prayed over the meeting this morning, but they also are doing a lot of street intervention and prevention. You know, it's one thing to be inside doing that, but it's another to be out there 24 hours a day. So we really appreciate the services U-Turn is offering to our community and to a lot of young men and women that are out there that are somewhat maybe lost or don't know what they want to do. They can help them and steer them in the right direction, and that is so sorely needed. So again, U-Turn, thank you for your services. WCA, Women's Center for Advancement, they are focusing on sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking. So again, if you know of someone that may be in that situation, please stop by their table, connect them with those who are finding themselves in these situations, because again, we want to make sure that we have a healthy, wholesome community. And so they are here this morning. Holy Name Housing, they have a Crown program. We have done some things with them as well. And so again, if you're looking to go from a renter to a homeowner, they have some things that you can look at in terms of starting out renting, but then finding yourself saving some money so that you can have money to put on a down payment for a home. So that's a good program that they have. And then we have two more. Let's see here. We have Charleston Health Center. Wave your hand. Look in the back, you guys. Look in the back. Wave your hand. Charleston Health Center. They do the Help You Start program. They do Fathers for a Lifetime. They have some health programs and services, even at a sliding scale fee. So make sure that you stop by their table. They always have a lot of goodies there, so that's why I love their table too. So, but don't just go there just for the goodies. Go there to get some information as well. And then finally, we have Mentor Nebraska. Mentor Nebraska. Marissa is back there as well. And so when we talk about mentoring, they are somewhat the umbrella that underneath that they have Manager Leadership Academy, they have teammates, they have Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they have a number of mentoring agencies that they work with to make sure that they are partnering our young men and young women with mentors that can really help them and guide them through their young life and into their senior and adult life. So they have had some wonderful programs and stories that we just absolutely love to talk about. So again, if you are thinking about it, somebody say think. If you are just thinking about being a mentor and wanting to just go from possible seasons to another person, just stop by there and they can share with you maybe which mentoring organization is best. So with that, this is the time where we do a quick stop by, shop. So stand up, everyone. We're going to do this very quickly because we want to get on to our program. Okay, that was you. Stand up. Go ahead and stand. There's the interaction part. And so with that, on the count of three, what I'd like you to do is to stop at least 2 tables. We're going to take about 3 minutes. Stop by at least 2 tables. Grab some information. Talk to someone. Get some information. If they got goodies, go ahead and get that as
grab some coffee, refresh, and then we will start in 1 minute. 1 minute.
Good morning, it's great to be here as always. I want to make mention of some of my staff that's here. Northeast Precinct Captain Mark Martuzzi, Northwest Precinct Captain Marcia West, and a representative from our School Resource Officer, Sergeant Amy Shepard. lastly, our crime prevention specialist in the Northeast Precinct, Viola. I got great staff, so I got to acknowledge them from time to time. So what we're going to do this morning, we're going to go through some numbers and see where we were, where we're at, and then we'll talk about some justice priorities that we implemented from last time that we were here last year, and then we can have a discussion of where we want to go forward. These are just the Omaha gun assaults for the last 12 years, from 2007 on. As you can see, it's a downward trend. It's a nice downward trend. Last year, there was 100 shooting victims and 78 incidents. So the number of incidents of 78 was the lowest that we've ever had. These are homicides 2009 to 19, and the 22 that we had last year are under 20 years old. This is just year to date. I don't know if I would make too much of this July. It's only 2 months in, but so far so good. This is comparable cities. If you can read that, I don't know if it's my eyesight that's bad or if it's blurry at the bottom. But these are our comparable cities and where they sit with homicides in 2017 and 2018. You can see Omaha right there in the middle. Right next to us is Tulsa, Wichita, Minneapolis. See Kansas City on the far right. And this is the clearance rates for the Omaha Police Department for homicides. The red line in the middle shows national average. I always show this slide because it's a good example of how well the police and community work together, but also if you see an increase or decrease, those represent real lives and real families that get affected. So it's important that we at least show where we were and where we're at. This is the total use of force from the Omaha Police Department for 2018. See that it went up a little bit. We're diving into that data to see why, but generally it will fall on the line. We just have 100 more officers now. And this is the citizen complaints for the Omaha Police Department. 2017 was the lowest year we've ever had. And then 2011 was a pretty significant spike. Okay, so last time that we participated in this Justice Forum, these are the areas that were discussed with the Omaha Police Department to implement. So what I want to do is I want to go through all 5 of these because we've got at least partial, mostly full implementation in all of them. First one is your body-worn cameras. At the end of this year, we will be fully implemented with body-worn cameras, meaning every officer that you see driving around in a police car in uniform will have a body camera, which is a fairly large undertaking for a city our size, just because you're talking millions and millions of dollars a year just to do that. Increased diversity of the police force. Our last several police recruit classes, our diverse numbers outpace the percentages in our population. So we've made solid progress on that front. Obviously, it's important to be representative of our community, not only from the entry level, but as the promotional process goes forward as well. Number 3 is expand the cultural awareness and mental health response training. For the mental health response training, we have increased the number of crisis intervention officers about 30%. And now we also have professional, medical, and mental health professionals at our precincts able to respond to us in the field to assist us with mental health. It's a huge issue facing this country, huge issue facing the Omaha Police Department. Deal with it probably dozens of times a day, literally dozens of times a day. Number 4 is our school resource officer training. Our school resource officers have gone through all the national model trainings, including the Teen Brain training, all designed to ensure that our school resource officers are fulfilling the role that we want them to perform in the schools. Okay, and that is to build relationships, build the community relationships with the police department, and then respond to very drastic emergency. What we don't want is our school resource officers being used as disciplinarians or an outlet for the teachers for just an unruly job or something. So that's all been implemented. And then the last one is independent investigation of officer-involved incidents. This is where we've at least been able to do partial implementation, and then I'll kind of explain why we can't go to full implementation. When we have an incident involving an Omaha police officer or shooting, perhaps somebody dies in police custody, we have an officer-involved shoot team within the Omaha Police Department that will go out and investigate it. We have implemented and inserted the Nebraska State Patrol into that team. Okay, so when something happens, they will now respond with us. Part of that implementation is at any time, they can go to the State Patrol Colonel, they can come to me if they see the issues. The reason that we can't do full implementation here in the state of Nebraska is there's only one Omaha. There's only one agency of our size that has the familiarity, the expertise, and the manpower to throw at these incidences appropriately. Because when one of these happens, we'll have 10 to 12 detectives go to it, and there really isn't another agency that can support that. Matter of fact, it's kind of the opposite. They'll kind of begging us to help them. So we are the only game in town on this one. So we're doing what we can to be as transparent as possible on that front. So that is real quick where we were at the last Justice Forum. And at this time, I want to talk about where we want to go from here. Okay, first of all, when you start to see your shooting numbers go down as drastically as they have, when you start to see the number of homicides go down as drastically as they have, complaints have gone down, those are the three major pillars. The fourth pillar that we are attempting to take down, and we think that it should go by natural progression, is disproportionate minority content. That means the number of people that are stopped in the state of Nebraska and in Omaha is disproportionate to based on race. So we do stop a disproportionate amount of minority drivers, and then also the arrests is also disproportionate. So that's one issue that we keep very good track of, because that's that fourth domino that we want to fall on that one. So what I'm going to do here is open this up for any questions or any thoughts that you might have on this, on ideas where you'd like to see the Omaha Police Department take this next step. We can right in the very back.
As it applies to DMC, how are you gathering and how are you maintaining statistics to show disproportionate activity?
Well, the statistics are gathered by every traffic stop that we make, and it's computerized. Okay, so every stop gets logged in, and at the end of that, it spits out a database that we can analyze where the stop occurred, who made the stop. So any data that you may think of, age of the driver, race of the driver, anything that we collect from a traffic citation or on a general stop, that comes into our database. That's one of the beauties of technology, is it gives us a complete snapshot of that. Imagine 10 years ago we didn't have that. It was spotty data. So now we got complete data on all traffic stops, all arrests that we have, and we analyze it on the DMC level.
Is that information being given to the DMC coordinator?
Absolutely it is. Good morning.
In reference to building arrests, incidents regarding mental illness, how good arresting
answer to that is twofold. The first part of it is they won't always know. And the second part is you do have some knowledge of the call that you're going to, because the 911 call, whatever information they give the Oklahoma Police Department, that officer will receive either on their computer before they get to the call or over the radio. So they have some knowledge of what they're about to get into, but obviously not a complete snapshot until they get there. And it's upon that first encounter, the first several minutes with somebody that they can make that assessment. Am I dealing with somebody with mental illness? Is it of an acute enough situation that we need to have a professional get involved or specially trained officers to come to the scene? So the information as to how we determine their mental illness is not going to be a clinical or a medical diagnosis. It's going to be based on the call and then also based on the officer's training as to how to detect.
Can you hear me?
I was interested in your complaints chart, and I was wondering what you're recording. Is it everything from getting slashed by kids running down the street too fast to some sort of physical assault, or it doesn't seem like it's very useful data and it's not related to the kinds of complaints. So how does that work? So the uptake, for example, does that represent something that you need to address in terms of your interaction with citizens, or would it be something as benign as there's always a police car parked in my front?
What these complaints right here reference is the official complaints lodged with the Oklahoma Police Department through our internal affairs unit. These complaints represent a citizen that has come down, formally filed a complaint and said, I don't care how I was treated by the Oklahoma Police Department. Now, I don't have these broken down for me today for everybody to see because I only have 30 minutes. But every one of those complaints gets analyzed on a micro basis, based on the complaint, and then on an aggregate basis as well. So we know what our complaints are, what's coming in, what is the level of the complaint coming in. So that's what that represents. You can see in 2011 and 2012, we had a spike in those complaints. Starting to trend downward, like I said, went up a little in 2018. We looked at that data. It generally centers around officers not completing reports when they're supposed to. Those type of offenses is what drove 2017 are all-time low to 2018. Hopefully that helps answer your question. But it is something that we analyze on a monthly basis.
So you got close to my second question, which is, are most of them, how do they break down in terms of administrative issues versus interaction with citizen issues, for example?
Well, every one of these would represent an interaction with the citizen. Every single one of them, because the citizens file a complaint. The administrative internal affairs investigations come forth through the Oklahoma Police Department. Complaints that we take forward, say a supervisor comes to me and says, I don't like how this is handled. That's not represented on this chart. That is a separate chart that we keep. And that's, we have those too all the time.
Yeah, go back here, Steve.
Question would be on your disparity routine traffic stop.
Yes.
You use statistics reporting.
Right.
How often is this analyzed? Is this annually or bi-monthly, or how often is it? You wait till the end of the year?
Sure.
6 months.
We analyze it within our Oklahoma Police Department with our command staff on a quarterly basis, just to see where we're at. It's analyzed annually by the Crime Commission. And that's every agency in the entire state of Nebraska. And by law, we have to collect the data and then turn it over to the crime commission. Now, what we do in Omaha is do it quarterly because we are the largest agency, and we want to make sure we're responsible to our community, and I don't want to wait 9 months before I know what's going on. Thank you.
Team members with the passion and action, I just want to go back to the citizen complaint piece because I am on the mayor's citizen complaint review board. And so once those citizens make that official complaint, and that's very important that they took the opportunity and the time because it meant that much to them to actually go follow all the paperwork. And then once they do that, the chief sees it, and I don't know who all sees it before it gets to us, but we also citizens in the community review those complaints. And so that's how they get those figures.
Thank you, Tila. So when you file a complaint gets investigated, you will receive a letter from me saying what our findings were, and then you have an opportunity to appeal that, and you can appeal that to the Citizens Review Board. And the Citizens Review Board will look at what took place and then reference my decision. And sometimes they'll come back with a recommendation to overturn my decision. Sometimes they'll come back with a recommendation to affirm my decision. And I think we had recently, in the last couple of months, that we have 2 or 3 go forward. And I think the review board agreed with me on one of them and then offered a recommendation for body cameras on the second one, which we did.
Chief, I'm wondering if you could repeat the questions that people ask. Sometimes it's hard for me to get it clear.
I'll try my best. I'm to repeat the questions when they're asked. Okay. I want to say that look, the city of Omaha's come a long way, but we're not there. We're not where we want to be at. There are still areas of concern, of course, with the police department. There are still areas of concern with crime that represent real lives of real people. So that's why you continually see us be a part of this group, be a part of community policing in the city of Omaha. That will never cease. Ricky, can I get one question before there, and then we'll wrap it up?
I said, what steps are police department taking to grow the diversity of the police officers in Omaha now and in the future? Great question. The question was, what steps is the Omaha Police Department to grow our diversity numbers so that we can have a more diverse police force? Let me say this, Omaha has faced a decrease in the number of applications that we've had over the years, but we are fortunate on one front. So let me take you through this progression real quick. So about 10 years ago, you have about 2,000 applicants for the Omaha Police Department every time we would hire. About 6 years ago, that dipped to about 1,200, and last year it was at 700. So that's a very, very, very strong dip. But what we have seen in Omaha, that other agencies across the state and across the country have not necessarily had the advantage of. It seems that we have retained our quality applicants. So whatever we're losing, those that remain in the pool are good candidates for us. Otherwise, I'm in a very nervous and precarious situation because those numbers are out heavily. And out of those 700, we have a very, very diverse application pool. And those candidates rose to the top and we were able to hire. So we're very fortunate on that front. But what we do is we reach out to all the universities. We reach out to all our partners that might have an inroads to a diverse candidate. And then also we advertise nationally and work with Black Police Officers Association or any association that can put forward a diverse candidate pool for us. And we strongly look at every candidate that applies.
that is diverse and represents our community, because that's what we're attempting to do. Obviously, the number of bilingual officers, we can increase that. We try to every time. And if I can get a diverse police recruit class, year after year after year, when we're hiring these big classes, you can take your numbers from 6% to 12% fairly quickly. So that's a great question. Everybody, I appreciate it this morning. From some old data, not old data, but an old PowerPoint I did. This is our diversity percentages of our recruit classes. And this will represent African American, Hispanic, other races, Native American, etc. And this is the percentage right there. So you see an upward trend of those classes. And quite frankly, that upward trend, I don't want the Omaha Police Department to take full credit for that. We just have good applicants that just happen to be diverse come forward, and we're able to hire them. So a lot of that's the community stepping forward to help us. All right.
Chief Jamal, how many of these officers that are being recruited have like grassroots, have background in like low impoverished environments and things like that, as opposed to being military returnees coming to join the police department? How many of these people like come from hoods, so to speak, and are blessed enough to become police officers, to be able to have a hands-on understanding of what they're dealing with down here?
I understand your question, and I'll kind of summarize that so everybody can hear me, and then you nod to me if I'm summarizing that appropriately. You were asking how many come from a military background or an affluent background versus a background of poverty?
Yes, in a nutshell, how many of them know what they're dealing with when they come into this position of policing the streets?
Well, it's a great question. I would tell you it's mixed. You'll have some from every facet that we just discussed back and forth. So you're getting a mixture, and it's up to the Omaha Police Department. When we do hire them, it's up to us to train appropriately and establish a culture appropriately so that our policing can continue in a way that we want to. Best practices and policing and proper police-citizen interactions is what we strive for in all terms. And in my opinion, one cannot be done without the other. What I mean is, if you don't have proper policing and proper interactions with your citizens, you're never going to reduce crime. They go in tandem. So as our complaints gone down, so is our crime. And I believe when you see one of them start spiking up, you'll see the other ones start going up as well. Because that's how important community partnerships are to any large major police department. They have to be agreement, or I don't believe that we can successfully reduce crime. I appreciate that question. I got another one? Yes.
Yeah. Does your cultural competency training still come directly from the Department of Justice out of Washington?
I can't hear that one. I'll get your microphone. I couldn't hear your question.
Does your cultural competency training still come directly from the Department of Justice out of Washington?
It comes from, well, we do various cultural competency training, but our baseline, the baseline is from the Department of Justice. But we add on to that because we feel that Omaha is a diverse community and we have various other cultural competency trainings that we need to do here that maybe you don't need to do in some smaller part of the state. So we add it on here just because we're so large.
One other question, Chief Shamatter, and then I'm going to sit back down. Do you have a auditor, a noteworthy police auditor in place at this time?
We do not have a police auditor at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. So this is part of the transition to the survey. So a lot of you have some of the quickers that are on your table to be able to grab those and then follow along with the questions as they appear. hands up. Keypad, hands up. Anybody else keypad? Need a keypad? Hands up. Everybody got pen? All right, here we go.
I got him. For Terrence, you got him.
Male or female? Go ahead and click the button. Don't lie about your age. How old are you? Everybody click. Count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How would you describe the racial ethnic identity? Black or African American is 1, white Caucasian 2, Latino Hispanic 3, Asian Pacific 4, Indian Native American 5, interracial 6, 7 is other. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Which best describes who you represent today? So again, we have some community advocates, a resident or neighborhood association, 2, government, 3, law enforcement, probation, parole, courts, prison system, 5, business, 6, faith community, 7, community-based organization, K-12 schools or students, 9, trade school, college, and university, 10, visitor or other. If it's 10, press 0. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are the root causes of gun violence? You may pick 3. Pick 3. What do you feel are the root causes of gun violence? You may pick 3. If you feel that it's other, choose 0. All right, we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So our highest right now is concentrated poverty, struggling families. Then it goes over to drug and gun industry, easy access to illegal guns. Then unemployment, financial issues, cultural violence, anger, conflict, respect. Those are kind of even. Personal conflicts that turn into other gun violence. Priorities to reduce gun violence. Again, choose 3. Select 3. And here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Remove illegal guns specifically to all purposes. More positive alternatives, parties, etc. And expand, step up year-round employment. I like that. All right. Thanks for participating in that. What we're going to do right now is transition into our panel discussion. So we have some really good experts in some different areas where you guys can ask questions, be totally engaged. We do have a judge who's going to be speaking and sharing some information, but know that he can't speak to very specific cases and identify people. So as you are fielding your question or coming up with your question, and it relates to somebody that you may know that he won't speak on those things, but he'll provide information on other things. So at this time, I'm going to have my panelists transition to the back. As we begin our transition, our guest panelists today are still getting to. Hey, really? Yeah. Okay. From here, is that our Yes. Stu Giddings, Mark McClure, Kayla Danner, Bernard Daniels, Terrence Mackey, and Monty Cannon. I'll let them introduce themselves and what it is they actually do.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I'm Stuart Giddings. I'm the Violence Prevention Director for U-Turn. What we do is employ an evidence-based model of care looking at violence as a health condition and treating it as a disease in the community. We deal in mediation, conflict resolution, and offering resources in connection to the community for adolescents and young adults.
Good morning. I'm Mark McClure. I'm here kind of as two roles. I am the Manager of Administrative Services at the Douglas County Youth Center. My direct responsibilities there, I oversee the education department, the mental health department, as well as medical and, of course, the administrative policies. I'm also here as the co-chair of the Disproportionate Minority Contact and Racial and Ethnic Disparities Committee.
Good morning, my name is Kayla Danner. I am an attorney for the City of Omaha. I work in the prosecutor's office. I prosecute all misdemeanors here in Douglas County with the exception of motor vehicle homicides and domestic violence. In my office, I specialize in child neglect cases and sexual assaults.
Good morning, my name is Vernon Daniels. I'm one of 6 judges on the Second Juvenile Court here in Douglas County. I've been on the bench for 18 years now, and presently I serve Tom Warren as co-chair of the JDAI initiative in Douglas County.
Good morning, my name is Terrence Mackey. I'm a gang specialist with North Omaha
through the Boys and Girls Club at Omaha Police Department. I'm just a concerned citizen, just trying to help kids stay alive and help people make better decisions.
Good morning. My name is Monty Kenny. I am a family business owner of a restaurant, 18 years old. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the kids and come to intervention on what's going on in our community.
Thank you. So the first question is, why did you go into your career field?
Can you hear me? Well, for me, I went.
I'm sorry, let me repeat the question. I'm sorry, Steve. So the question was, why did you went into your particular career field?
For me, I had an opportunity to get back into this work after leaving working with youth and adolescents, both in residential treatment and mental health facilities here in the Midwest, in Nebraska and Iowa. For me, it was an opportunity to get back into the work and the passion that I truly had within myself, coming from a neighborhood of poverty, being born and raised in New York City, being involved in a lot of street violence, gang violence, and a part of that lifestyle. This gave me an opportunity to expand that knowledge and give back to the community and try to help pull and push as many young individuals back out of this lifestyle and really give them a positive outlook on life and reinvigorate the hope that I was able to get opportunities to walk away from that type of lifestyle and further my career as a human being and be able to achieve success. And so for me, it was just, how do I give back and how do I right some of the wrongs that I've done, although I'm not in the city where I grew up? How can I do that in the city where I'm raising my children, where they'll be affected by a lot of that violence that we deal with in our communities and the way we believe we have to deal with conflict? And so I just, again, for me, it was just a passion to give back to the people that come from where we come from, and give them a better outlook, hopefully, and just invigorate some hope and some insight that they can do better and they can move from where they've started.
Well, for me, Omaha is my hometown. I've always worked with young people, children. My track record, I guess, goes back to the Miller Park YMCA. I was director there. And from there, I was an executive director at Boy Scouts, and I was a director of both the South and North Omaha Boys and Girls Club. And so I've always worked with young people who have always had a good potential and a good plan and a good future. It wasn't until I was contracted to put together the residential treatment center for Allegiant Health that I recognized that there are young people who have challenges that get in the way of their future. And it's imperative that the message get out that young people have options. And at the youth center, we try to give them as many different options as possible. But my direction is all about keeping young people on track, they don't get off track, and staying with us and being a part of the juvenile justice system.
I grew up here in Omaha, in the area of 25th and Camden, actually. I graduated from Burke High School, went to Creighton, went to Iowa for law school, and decided that I wanted to be an attorney, primarily because my brother got in a lot of trouble back when was first came to Omaha. He got in a lot of trouble, so it was always a dream of mine to be an attorney. That was cemented when my brother took his first trip to Kearney. As a 16-year-old, he went to Kearney pretty quickly, and then got in a little bit more trouble. And I thought that I should be able to help him and help my family. And so oddly enough, I ended up in the prosecutor's office, where I think actually I help more people than would be able to pay me if I was a private attorney. And there's someone that looks like me or like my family in the prosecutor's office. And so that's what I'm doing here today.
I too am from Omaha, Nebraska, graduate of Vincent High School, with Vincent Holdings. Why I am in the area that I'm in now, it's still a wonderful to me. And it's for that reason when I started off my practice, it was really probate and estate planning, and that was always my interest. But I had a higher interest in the study of government and how laws affect our communities. I had an opportunity to be involved in 2 fellowship programs. One of them involved fellowship in poverty law and community organizing. And that was really interesting to me. And when I started my career here in Omaha, Nebraska, it was as an A-lady attorney. And I value those days because I felt that I really learned the practice of law and how you develop a case and present arguments. Later, I went on to the Douglas County Attorney's Office, where I ended up prosecuting areas that I defended in court. And then from there, I was appointed to the bench by Governor Mike Jones at the time.
I grew up Omaha, North Omaha, 40th Avenue in Bedford, probably when it was one of the hardest crime-ridden areas around. I grew up in the North Omaha Boys Club, and we always had strong black men who are role models. So when I came up, I wanted to be like the men that were before me. And so I worked at the youth center for about 15 years doing house arrest with the home program. I coached at the Boys and Girls Club, but I got tired of seeing kids who looked like me come through the doors at the youth center. So I figured I needed to try to make a difference and help kids out, help adults out, help somebody out. So that was the reason why that I chose the path that I chose.
I chose this path, and one of the reasons why I'm here is to connect with the youth. I realized that there's a lot of youth that are going down the path that I went down, and also I've been able to go down the right path and the wrong path. And I'm still here to breathe and tell my story, because a lot of you guys, the younger women and men, I see y'all headed down a long path, and if you don't make the right choice, you might not be able to speak about it. And so I have that insight from being right and wrong. And I'm still here and blessed to tell my story.
So the next question is, how has gun and gang violence impacted you?
Gang violence has impacted me tremendously. Actually, I am a gang member. I'm a lot older now, so I realized that was one of the worst choices that I made. And it has impacted me a lot because I've seen my family and loved ones go a whole lot of turmoil. And because of the choices I made, I didn't have to, it got me and landed me in a lot of trouble. And so I'm here to speak on behalf of anyone of you that have questions about which way to go, why you went this way, or why I've chosen the path I've chosen. I'm here to tell you that the wrong way is not the right way to go. And it's all about your choices.
Gang violence has impacted me tremendously. I've seen a lot of young men that I worked with that have came through the youth center that have made the wrong choices, and they don't get to speak about it because they died. I've had a nephew through my wife who was murdered in gang violence, so it's really impacted about kids making the wrong choices. You know, stuff that you put on social media can cost you for the rest of your life, so we have to make better choices about what we do.
I think, like everyone else in the community, it's an unfortunate part of our lives now. I recall when the gangs first got started in Omaha, and I watched how so many folks denied the existence, all on the name of trying to preserve a positive image. And that was not good for our community. As a prosecutor, I actually had a chance to talk to so many parents whose children had got tangled up. And I had an opportunity to talk to the children because we had a process where parents were seeking help. They could come to our office and we tried to intervene by some sort of one-on-one conferencing with them and tried to understand what is the reason for this pull into a game. And then as a judge, I see it in some of my cases. And a juvenile court judge is probably much different from the other judges that anyone might encounter. And that is because of the length of time sometimes that a case continues and the judge is working with the child and the family, trying to find the right rehabilitative tool to fix that which we are confronted with. And so you have a lot of one-on-one time in the courtroom with the child, with the parents, and case professionals who are assisting. And unfortunately, there's sometimes we think we got this child to the finish line. But then that child becomes a casualty of the street. And I'm going to tell you this, that's it's deflating, it's hurtful for a judge. And I understand what it is for the family. And in those situations, I go and I pay a visit to the parents. And I try to learn from each one of those instances, what could we have done different? And I guess that's the question that I always ask. What could we have done different? And the key to it, folks, is not a cookie-cutter approach. The juvenile court is supposed to give individualized assessments. What works for you may not work for you. And therefore, we should not try to squeeze this remedy for you that goes for you. And that takes time, and it takes resources, and it takes effort. I'll stop.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I think all of us have been related to or tied to someone who's been a victim of gun violence. I sit next to Mr. LaFleur, and I know that he has a relative that is tied to one of my best friends has been a victim. And so I think all of us have that shared experience. My concern is that we're not getting to the root of the issue. And as someone who, as I said, has a brother who was involved in that, we should look to the justice system to address the problem once it gets that far, but we have to look before that. We have to look at how we educate our kids. We have to look at how we raise them, how we parent them. And as parents, we have to be extremely involved in ensuring that our kids understand the value of human life. And I think we have failed in some way in that regard, that kids growing up today don't value themselves and others maybe like we used to, or I'm not sure, but I think that we have to look at parents and communities and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews and everybody, a family, to look how we fail our children and look first in our houses to see if we can address the problem before we get to a juvenile court or before we get to a funeral.
The truth of the matter is, no one wins with gang violence. We see young people come through the youth center who felt they needed to have a gun to protect themselves. And then when they make a choice to use it, they find themselves in a situation where they're detached from their families and disconnected from their community. And it's a sad thing to see. It's really sad seeing families go through the consequences of gun violence. And if there's any one thing that we as a community should be working on, I think, is finding ways to provide services for young people so they have pathways to understanding what they're going through before they get into the juvenile justice system. The justice system does the best they can to try and fix some of the things that went wrong with young people. But a lot of times, as a result of not understanding the actions of what you're doing, young people aren't given the opportunity to be in juvenile court. They find themselves in adult court and the consequences that come with it. So I implore those of you who are young and feel that you need to have a weapon to protect yourself, and I understand that the world has changed, but you have to reach out to someone and let them know what it is that is threatening you, because the consequence of using gun violence to resolve your issue will do nothing but cause a detriment to you and your family.
Like everybody else, we've all been affected by it. I can't count how many people I lost in the streets when I was a part of that type of lifestyle. But the one that sticks out, which we have to find an avenue to move away from it. And when you watch somebody get killed and they're in a 2 feet proximity to you, it's not like what we see in the movie. It's not the depictions of movies and media. It's real, and we have to look at the lies that we've been told on how to handle conflict. And for many of us, those lies are being told to us by the ones that raised us in our homes, and that the only way that we can truly deal with conflict is to be violent. And that's where it starts, and that's where I know it started for me. My mother, who was over 5 foot, was the first one that told me violence was the way to handle any situation. And so from there it just grows and it gets reinforced. Music, everything we watch, everything we see, but it's not only about the economically challenged. We're a violent society as a nation and as a world. And so when it gets to that level, now we're fighting for survival. And so I know we've all been affected by it. Everyone has their story. And at the end of the day, I think we just need to reinforce the positivity to move from that, because most of it it's a lie. The lifestyle's a lie. Living that type of street mentality and the belief in that system it's a lie. And the guys and women that have been through it, that have come out of it on the other side, we got to go back in and we got to tell our young brothers and sisters that it's a lie in the way we live it. There is a better way out of it, and show them how to get there. We can't just point them in the direction. We got to be willing to walk and be willing to talk and show them how to get there when they're reaching out and when they're grasping for help. And so when they get into these institutions and they're in the court system, it's not too late. We just have to work that much harder to get them and to reach them and push and everything we can as a community and as a village to move them forward. And so violence affects us all, whether it's gang violence, whether it's interpersonal violence, domestic violence. It's the mindset of it, and it's our culture. And for me, that's the problem. And we have to change the narrative from day one, in the beginning, in our homes, and how our parents teach us how to deal with conflict and how to deal with one another.
Thank you. So that leads right into our next question. What are the trends that you see happening in the justice system that are new or that bring you concern? Anybody?
I'm going to let somebody from the justice system say that.
So what are some of the trends that you're seeing, and what are some of the concerns that you may have when those trends are happening?
I think there's the positive part of it is that finally what we do in the juvenile court is being identified as having some value. And it is, I think our society and our leaders have finally taken an interest in the juvenile court after years and years of benign neglect. No one wanted to deal with it. That's the positive side. The negative side is there is still a lack of understanding of how the juvenile justice process works. It works differently from the criminal justice process. The criminal justice process is really retribution, punishment. Although now we do see that criminal justice does see some of the values that's used in the juvenile court because we have problem-solving courts, veterans court, we have young adult courts. So we're seeing there is a value for rehabilitation on the criminal end of it. The purpose of the juvenile court is rehabilitation. And quite often we have a very limited window of opportunity to provide rehabilitation. Many times when we're trying to find the resolution, the options that are available to us, rarely do we have the best solution. Quite often what we have to settle for is the second or third best option that's available for us. The lack of understanding of how the process works can also be identified in the area of how do you fix it or how do you reform it. If you don't know how it works, you can't fix it. If you don't know how it operates, you can't fix it, you can't reform it. So there's a need to slow down and spend some time in study. Once we understand these items, then we can move along. You cannot separate our rehabilitative process from the family. The family is the mainstay in all of this that we deal with. And mental health, gangs, and guns are things that we encounter practically on a daily basis, whether it's in our delinquency and status matters or if it's in our abuse neglect cases.
As much as possible, with regards to detention, we try to provide an environment that encourages young people to work on some of the challenges that they may have to work on. We certainly, we have a school that's at our facility, and we have wonderful community partners that come in and meet with our young people there. The one thing that I would say is as much as possible, especially to the young people, up at the youth center, we average right about 80 youth a day, and upwards of half of those youth are youth who made the decision to leave home, either for a short period of time or an extended period of time. And I just challenge families to be prepared to communicate about the issues of leaving home and the consequences of leaving home. If a student, if a young person does all the things that they're supposed to do and graduate, there's a whole different level where you can act as an adult in college. But you have to do the things that you need to do. And parents, I encourage you to stay in communication with your child. And if there are issues that are unresolved, the challenge is to resolve them. Because once the system, once a youth is picked up with regards to running away, and if it's something that happens over and over, or if it's a youth runs away for an extended period of time, it can really have adverse consequences to families. So as much as possible, we want to make sure that young people are taken care of, whether in a youth center, but you have to know that a lot of the young people get there as a result of running away. So we have to do what we can to stay in front of that issue.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next question. What are some of the things that really work from your perspective when it comes to addressing violence, prevention, and intervention? And how do we get more involved with being part of the solution?
Some of what we see work is having a conversation and be willing to be open about it. Oh, sorry, what was the question again?
We're on track. What are some of the things that really work from your perspective when it comes to addressing violence, prevention, and intervention? So what do you think?
The strategies that work when we address violence prevention and intervention. For me, I think it's a collective approach. It's everything that we're doing. Every opportunity that we get to challenge the notion and the concept of the mentality. So every opportunity you get to speak with anyone that's involved in that lifestyle and within that belief system to challenge it. And so it's classes, it's violence prevention seminars, it's open forum communication. It's inviting the community to come out and hear what's being done so they know where they can actually access that help. In the work that we do, often what we find is that the individuals that we work with, they don't know how to access the resources that are right here. And many of them that are right in their own community, for whatever reason, they're not accessing it, they're not walking in the doors. And so it's not that it's not present. They just need to learn how to access it. But more importantly, the agencies that provide those services have to also understand who they're serving. And they also need to be willing to think outside the box and go out and reach them, because sometimes those individuals aren't going to walk through your door on their own. And so just reach and continue to educate and show them how much resources they have at their disposal, regardless of what they may be facing.
I think once you get to my office, as I said, I handle misdemeanors. So once you get to my office, what we feel works is probation. And we put a lot of people on probation. And we hope that it provides some level of rehabilitation for people who have made it into adult court. We do ask that the court order them to obtain a GED or get a diploma, get a job. And unfortunately for some young people, and many young women who aren't in violence, but they shoplift or they take orders, we see a lot more of those women on probation, and then young men who are tied to gangs and get caught with possession of a weapon. We place those young people on an extensive probation. It lasts for 2 years. And we hope that in this transition period, we can get them on the right track. And sometimes we do, and that's great. And then sometimes we don't. And while they're in the process with us, sadly they'll pick up a felony or something even more serious. So in my area, we're already at a point of punishment, and we hope that with a little bit of probation or a lot of probation, it can affect change. As I said, though, personally, I think that it stems back to reaching the young kid, reaching the parents of those kids, and and getting them involved in the education and the raising of them as a community. Seeing more parents at schools, seeing more people involved, and understanding that it takes all of us to raise a community.
I agree with everything that's been said, but I would also add parental engagement. We can't do anything without parental engagement, and sometimes we see parents and don't identify it as a lack of engagement, but quite often it's tired. They've been dealing with this and other issues for a prolonged period of time, and by the time they see us, they're tired. But parents just simply have to stay on the trail. Another thing that I think is very positive is mentoring. And when I say mentoring, it's sometimes for the young folks before me. I'd like them to get involved in the mentoring program, but sometimes that's not going to work. I tell them, find someone that you admire, that you look up to as a positive influence. They don't have to be a credentialed person. They don't have to have these titles before and after their names. That someone who's willing to invest with you. And sometimes that's a grandparent. Do that. And so I think mentoring is a good influence. Another thing that we rely heavily on in our court is therapy. But before we can get going with therapy, particularly when we're talking about violence, we have to, as Joe Madison would say, we have to put it where the goats can get it. In other words, we've got to get down to the root and find out what it is. Just to throw therapy in and we don't have a quality evaluation that's very informed, then that can target us where we need to go. Because if we don't, we just go haphazardly into treatment, and after a while, we get burned out and we get lack of engagement.
I think I'm old school. We got to have more of the village mentality. Don't be scared of your kids. Talk to them. Show them that you're concerned about them. Because when you show a child that you're concerned and you care about them, that's the way that you break through to them. When I was little, I would be scared to have somebody else think bad about me. Kids nowadays, they don't care what they think about you. Parents always told us, speak before you're spoken to. When you see an adult, recognize that adult and talk to them. We got to go back to that, about caring, showing concern. And when we start doing that, the kids will be more understanding and they'll let us help them more.
I took some notes on this topic. And one thing I noticed, a lot of these rehab programs, for myself coming out of prison and going through rehab programs and seeing what actually works and what doesn't, and you're not here and actually applying it to know what works and what doesn't, it's a thin line, because there is no one way or no perfect system. But for some of these systems out here, when it comes to respect for these kids and mentoring, a lot of programs I pay attention to, I see that there's a gap. And there's a gap between the people, like we mentioned earlier, with these titles, running through different organizations out here, but don't know how to get to the grassroots of the problem because they might have outdated methods. And so one of my concerns is being that I'm in between the generations, that what's going on out here from the younger to the role models and effective people that I look up to. I see there's a big difference, a big gap. And our youth, they don't know how to come to you guys because they feel like a lot of you guys are outdated with your methods. And so I feel that one way is to get back and find those mentors or, so to speak, don't have a great track record, like myself, where these kids can relate and they can talk to you about really what's going on, what's inside the home, single parent mothers and fathers out here. they really want someone they can talk to. And what I've noticed, a lot of these kids feel they can't talk to the people that's in position of these programs, so to speak. So that's one of my concerns.
So another question that we have is, how would you explain the working relationship that you have with the justice system and what could improve?
I have a great working relationship with the justice system here. Being a part of it, I've been in and out of it. So it's an easy way for me to be able to speak with people who have my best interest at heart, like Terrence Mackey and others who watched me grow up and helped me, and also knowing that I could have went this route. I chose this route. It wasn't because of my upbringing. It wasn't because of my mother or my father, because all those are starting to be excuses. It's really about how you parents raise these kids and communicate with your kids, and stop letting these kids dictate what they want to do.
He said it's about choices. When we were young, our parents didn't give us choices. They made us do stuff. And we got to get back to that kind of mentality. Don't let your child tell you what they're going to do. They live in your house. You tell them what they are going to do. You be a parent. You step up. We didn't need medication when we were little. The medication that we had was you got your butt whooped. And we got to get back to that. When you slap your kids on the wrist, when they're little and they're doing stuff and you think that's cute, when it gets older, it gets out of hand, it's not cute anymore. The criminal justice system will raise your kids a harsh way. They don't care about your kids. You got to love your kids and show them that you love them. That's the only way we're going to get this stuff together.
I told the judge he couldn't answer the question because he's the justice system. I didn't know, so am I. So I want to say this as an aside. I grew up here in Omaha. I feel like I have done something different than a lot of people in my family. And I hope that if, for nothing else, my name is Michaela Danner, I can be used as a resource. You can call the general number, city number, 7,000, 444-7000, and ask for me. So if you have someone that needs a mentor, even though I have letters behind my name, I can still be a good mentor. So if you have someone here that grew up here and is struggling here, and is a young lady, I can be a mentor. So please give me a call, 444-7000. My name is Michaela Danner. I graduated from Burke High, don't congratulate me. And I hope that I can help someone do something different.
Well, a couple of things that I mentioned. It's imperative to know that when you're looking at individuals that come into detention, there is a very high rate of minorities that get into the system and that eventually get into detention. And I would say over the past 10 years, the number of individuals in detention has gone down in half, yet the number of minorities remain the same. And typically that's between 50 and 60% African American and over 25% for Hispanic. So as a group, as a community, we know that we have to do some things better or differently, and certainly the opportunity for community agencies within the zip codes that are most impacted is great, and I would encourage as many as possible to find out what kinds of services are needed and look to provide those kinds of things here in the communities where it's most needed. And also just to say that there are challenges, but the reward is young people grow up. And, the question is, what do they grow up into? And if we can, as much as possible, provide them with the resources, in most cases, they're going to grow up in a fruitful environment instead of one that's counterproductive.
Just to finally follow up, the working relationship, I think, for our organization is the justice system and those agencies that are placing these kids, young adults and adolescents, on these restrictive measures to help them rehabilitate. They also need to understand what agencies are going to hopefully be most effective to refer those kids to. And I think our agency is one, and like Brother Monty King on the end said, it's about the credible messenger all the time. It's not sometimes going to be the individual that had an opportunity to obtain a college degree. I was blessed enough that I had that opportunity, but that only came from a judge's power in signing up the paper to leave the state of New York to even seek that opportunity, because that was so far gone. And so our organization is one that employs credible messengers, individuals that live these life experiences and are willing to walk the walk again to help somebody else walk away from it and get out of it. And so I feel our working relationship with our organization that we have is getting stronger, and I think it's gaining momentum. And the justice system just needs to also know what community organizations are best suited in those cases. Not that we're going to be the one that fixes everyone or that can work with everyone, but again, finding out which one is going to be most productive as best you can, refer those kids to, refer the young adults to that can help them in that rehabilitation process.
Perfect. So at this time, I would like to open up for question and answer for our panel. I got you. 1 and 2.
Good morning. This is the first time I've ever seen so many young people here. And so would you please, young people, stand up so we can affirm you. Young people, stand up. Stand up. You are so important. Stand up. We're sitting here talking about you like we know something, and you guys are the ones that we need to listen to. We need to understand you. So I just want to affirm you. I want you to know how important you are, how precious you are. You are an individual. You are priceless. You are an original masterpiece, and we need to know from you what we need to do. I am Tila Mickles. I work with people in prison. I've been doing it for 35 years. I have watched 4 generations, and I've asked 3 generations of people in prison, why did you join the gang? And 3 generations said, number 1, a sense of belonging. Number 2, family. And number 3, someone's got your back. So my question is to the community, us, where did we lose our children that they don't have a sense of belonging? Why don't we have family for our children? And how come our children feel unsafe and no one's got their back? Well, I wrote a book, it's called What If, by Tila Mickles. What if? What if it was the daycare system? And I'm not slamming the daycare system. I'm saying this to you. What if we dropped the ball? So after we affirm you, I will say for my 70 years standing before you, we dropped the ball. We took away from you the opportunity to have one-on-one from the time you were born to the time you were 5 to 6 years old. We can't change that, but we need to value you. As a community, we need to look at, if you want to know what the core is we took away the sense of I am a one. I am an individual. I am bad all by myself. I'm important. And we took that opportunity away. So we need to give it back to our children the best way that we can. Daycare system has to be, because it is what it is. But we need to revalidate our children. When we drop them off and we leave them for 5 years of their life, we need to pick them back up. We need to validate our children, look in their eyes and say, you are precious, you are amazing, you are smart. And we need to let them know that's how we feel, so that they will be validated, to be motivated, to be educated. And then they can be a help to others. And I had to say that because it's just, there's so many of you in here. And I love seeing you on this side and not on the other side. Thank you for coming.
Is it I'm fairly old, and I was there before there ever was a juvenile court. And what has bothered me, we fought hard and long to get a juvenile court established. And now, many times I see where we make a decision putting juveniles into adult roles. And I really question that and wonder whether we're doing the right thing about putting juveniles into the adult courts, regardless of what they have done.
I'm afraid I don't have a good answer for you, other than to tell you that, simply put, there are just some violations of the law and some conditions that the juvenile court simply is not equipped to address. And coupled with that is the time frame that the juvenile court has to address something. At age 19, our jurisdiction terminates no matter what. If we get someone that's going to need prolonged services and they're presenting at age 17 and a half or 18, if the offense has to occur before age 18, there may or may not be the opportunity or the rehabilitative services to provide it. Then another factor that's taken into account is what prior intervention has been provided. And quite often what we see in some of our cases is treatment or process that's been involved. We've done it multiple times without very much success. We don't like to say that we're unsuccessful. It just may be that we're unsuccessful at this phase in that individual's life. That does not mean that at age 23, 24, or 34, that individual will not be a model citizen.
First of all, I'd like to address it. Okay. Can everyone hear me? First of all, I want to introduce myself to everyone in attendance. My name is Marcel L. Ryan. I was born and raised right here in Omaha, Nebraska. I was engaged in the juvenile system from the time Judge Buckley was on the bench. I caught my first charge when I was 11 years old. I'm unproud of the fact that I have about 210 criminal entries on my record. I've been through every facet and phase of the Douglas County juvenile system onto the federal system and back here by the grace of God to Omaha, Nebraska. The first thing I would want to say to everybody in earshot in attendance, God is number one. A lot of people are missing the point of where the real resolve will come in. God is number one, and one's personal connection with Him, however they may perceive Him. God, first of all. Secondly, I would want to go to add that you got to stop lying to our youth. You got to start telling them the truth about their circumstances and situations. And similar to what these gentlemen were saying on the bench that have been there, done that, is that you're going to have to go out in the trenches with them. You can't sit behind some office door and chart up a structure in order to try to make something happen for the benefit of money. I'm just going to talk straight. For the benefit of financial gain or to look good in the eyes of the public. I don't do this for the cameras or to make anybody give me any kudos or pats on the back. I'm willing to get out here and get in the trenches with these youngsters to show them a way. That's what Jesus did. Jesus was out there amongst the people, teaching them about the goodness and the righteousness of God. He wasn't hiding behind some organization just saying what sounded good. So with all that being said, I believe that, God willing, more of our federal budget should be allotted to help these persons with these organizations that are really truly trying to help. As soon as they get started, EIE, they buy them off, they're gone. a lot of these organizations that would otherwise do some good by these suffering, struggling, hurting, pained youth that are out here screaming for help, but they're not getting any. No one to give them any immediate attention. So let's quit with all the BS. Let's just, if some of these monies can be allotted to put together some true organizations, they're gonna come knocking on the door and be like, you gotta get to school. Come on, I'm about to take you to school today. And I'm gonna mentor you all the way to school before you get to class. And get in there and do what you gotta do when you get in there and get educated, so you'll be able to deal with these issues in life that'll make you make a decision to not pick up the gun, not go out here and wanna bang for a hood or any of these other irrelevant, ignorant things that a lot of our youth get caught up in today. So I know I just said a lot, but with all that being said, I would like to say that let's be real about what's going to make some positive change for all of us in this city, God willing.
Question, because I'm from the Step Up program, and I know, like, hello, Mr. T-Mac, Mr. Judge, Daniels, what's his name? I just have a question, because I know, like, my brothers, they went to prison when they was very young and stuff, and situations went on in their lives, and they always told me they joined gangs because they didn't have things like Step Up and stuff, and they wanted money, and they, like, wanted to take care of themselves on their own and stuff. And so I just wonder, what are we doing to be more productive? Because I know, like, the Step Up program, but that's about it. That's all I ever hear of, is to help kids in the summer take care of themselves.
So when you talk about programs and what's out there for you, you got to look at all those colleges and universities and the people that are here. Urban League has several youth programs, and I know because I started them. When you look at Creighton University and the TRIO programs, there's several different TRIO programs that you can get involved with. When you look at fraternities and sororities, Kappa Leaguers stand up. Kappa Leaguers stand up. Kappa Leaguers stand up. Kappa Leaguers stand up. Squires are still here, or do they have to leave? Squires stand up. Squires stand up. The Squire mentors stand up. And so you have people who are doing the do, not just talking the talk, right? You got people who are on the ground who do things. If you coach a little league organization, stand up. If you mentor Bannister Leadership Academy, there's people here who have Pace Athletic League. So there are things right in your face. You got to go and talk to people at the table. Squires are in all high schools. Yes. So that's a fraternity organization. Kappa League is a fraternity organization. And then also U360, where we work with both of these young men. And we also have some young ladies who are involved in the U360 component, which is, again, intervention and prevention.
I think the young man said something about young people making money. And Step Up is one of those programs, and I don't think there's very many of them that will pay young people to make money. But truthfully, people younger than 16, that's not your goal. It's not to make money. You're supposed to be getting educated. Your parents are supposed to make money. You're supposed to be in school. You're supposed to be involved in activities. You're supposed to be in these other programs that they mentioned. And the money, unfortunately, you don't have it. It's supposed to come from your parents. So there's not a lot of programs like Step Up that will pay 14-year-olds to do things, because most 14-year-olds are supposed to be doing things in school.
So this will be our last question before we close.
My question is directed to Judge Daniels, and it's really the question was already asked by Department Edwards. When we speak about what phase of the justice system has not provided the resources necessary to correct the issues, I have basic concern particularly about the organization that you're a co-coordinator of, the OJ, whatever it is. It's been questioned whether the organization after the past 4 years has done, particularly seeing the amount of money that is being paid into those two organizations. The outcomes have not been significant enough to justify their existence. I think I know your feelings on it, but I'm not going to put that in there. But can you give me a few examples of what that organization has done that specifically helps the problems that we have in this community?
One of the areas that JDAI has been successful is because once you become involved in the court system, particularly when you begin to speak in terms of rehabilitation, what you have to understand is the court does not have the authority to order a lot of these agencies or private agencies to provide the services. We find the process is layered with multiple silos. One area that we've been successful is bringing these stakeholder groups together to talk about and to establish protocols or procedures whereby they might work more efficiently, not duplicate efforts, and to provide a seamless approach. Another area that we have been successful in is identifying youth who are low-hanging or lower risk versus higher risk so that we can intervene appropriately. Another area is that there's a group of folks that we look at and we make a determination as to whether or not filing or intervention is necessary, particularly if they're already involved in the process, such as on an abuse and neglect case or an existing delinquency or status, how we might resolve that. The other area is that trying to move the process to move more efficiently and faster getting services completed. The population at the Douglas County Youth Center is going down. Sometimes there's peaks, but we see a downward spiral. The one thing you should remember about the Douglas County Youth Center is youth under 18 years of age, if they're being held on the adult basis, they will be housed there and it may not be pursuant to juvenile court matters. Federal court may use it. The immigration may use it. Other counties may use it because they don't have a secured facility. So those are some of the areas that we have been successful in. We've been involved in some reform on the legislative area. And so when you stop and you look at how long this process has been neglected, and then you look at when the interest started perking up, and you look at the inroads that we've made, I would say it's pretty darn good. Are we there yet? No. We still have a ways to go. And that's just because of how so much of what we have to deal with, we have not any one group who's involved in the process has 100% complete ownership of what needs to be done. So that's where we're at.
I garbled the names. Would you identify those two organizations for me, please?
those organizations, JDAI, Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, and OIS, Operation Youth Success.
Thank you.
In addition to JDAI and Operation Youth Success, there's the Supreme Court Commission on Children in the Courts, and there's the Governor's Commission that exists as well.
All right, Mr. Martin.
Let's recognize the panel for coming in and being able to provide very valuable information. And thank Ricky Smith for coordinating. We just want to take a couple minutes to prepare to wrap up, and we need everyone's input. This is an opportunity. A lot of it is talked about as far as what do we do moving forward. We need everyone's participation at this point. We want to prioritize. So if you want to turn back the other direction and look at the screen, when Chief Smotter closed out, he talked about specific strategies that have been recommended by community. And so we put those specific strategies back up on the screen. And we need everybody's participation, especially our youth, those that are interested in seeing our community move forward and have stronger, even stronger relationships with the police department. These are the things that have been recommended in the past, and we want to get your polls. We want all of our partners to be involved as well. What are the things that we can do to continue to improve police relations? More venues where the police and community can interact. Number one, diversifying the police force and the criminal justice system. We just heard about that. Implement police training around culture, racial bias. More police training on mental health issues, so you can hopefully read those from the back. You can pick your top 3. If it was up to you to improve relationships with the police department, to continue improving, what would those top 3 things be? Go ahead and select. All right, give me a 5-second count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Create more venues like this where police and community can interact. Number 3, implement police training, cultural bias. Number 9, address disproportionate arrest and sentencing. I want to move to this next one. Prevention. One of the panelists talked about going upstream, going to address the problem before it happens. So again, we want everybody's participation. What are the things that we can do to prevent violence in the first place? Prevent our youth from getting involved in gangs and other things. What are the things that we need to do from your perspective? You can pick your top 3. So is it step up? Is it more things like village basketball, getting our neighborhoods involved, getting the students involved, seniors, other things? These are the strategies that are ongoing. More community policing. What is it that you think would have an impact? Give me a 5-second count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Expand step up and year round, 22%. Number 5, expand student engagement. And number 8, more community policing. So those are the top 3. Now I think we have something on jobs. That was brought up by one of our youth, so I want to bring this slide up. So more job training. What types of things would be most beneficial for our youth? Mentors and mentoring, more jobs and internships, job training, technical training, vocational training such as trades. You can read on down the list. What things do you think would be most beneficial regarding jobs, job training, and making sure our youth have employment opportunities? What do you think are the top 3? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so jobs and internships is the highest priority, followed by mentors and mentoring, and then number 3, more job training. Then number 8, emerging jobs. I think that may be our last one. This is for people that are already involved in gangs. What are the things that we should do to intervene, to reduce that activity? So this is more on the intervention side. What specifically do you think we should be doing on intervention? Starting earlier at elementary, middle school, high school, doing home visits. What do you think would be the top priorities to address and intervene on those that are already involved? Five-second count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, most of the groups that start earlier. Number 7 is support groups. Good. And number 2, high school intervention. All right, with that, I want to thank everybody for the Step Up participants. Ms. Monique and Jonathan will get you started here in just a minute. You probably don't want me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We have a guest from Chicago that came in to spend the day with us. He does a lot of work in youth outreach, intervention, entrepreneurship. His name is Joel Hammernick. He's here. Let's recognize him from South Chicago. Hope you do some work with him moving forward. Again, let's one more time recognize Ricky Smith, Omaha 360 Director, for putting this together today. I want to recognize Chief Slaughter and the police department for coming out and giving their presentation as well. Local policing captain, community policing, community outreach partners, thank you so much for being here. With that, for those tables that are remaining, I know that our youth, we want to make sure that you get information. For those tables that are still here, the fire department, I think, maybe still recruiting. There's other information about programs. And with that, we'll close out in prayer. All right, so let's close out. Vicky. All right, reminder, our 12th annual Building the Village Conference is coming up on May 24th. May 24th, there is an early bird. You can register at Empowerment Network, EmpowerOmaha.com. The early bird has a discount on it. May 24th is our annual conference. And again, one more time, step up. Somebody say step up. The deadline is when? Tomorrow. Get on Snapchat, Facebook, all the other things you do, Instagram, everything else. Let your friends know tomorrow is the deadline to get their application in. Here we go.
All right, step up. You guys need to come over and clock out. So as soon as the prayer concludes, come over, clock out for session 1, and then you're going to come back and clock in for session 2. So don't try to sneak out, because you won't get paid.
All right, let's close the prayer. God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for each and every person that's here. We thank you for the partnerships. We thank you for the progress. We thank you even for the work that's yet ahead. Lead, guide, and direct every step we take, everything we do. It's in your name we pray. Somebody say amen? Amen. Amen. Please go out, take information back with you, share it with you.